Okay, hello, 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 everybody. This is Tyrell Collins.
And I'm Vernon Scott, and this is Melanin and Moonlight.
Yes, where we are bringing you the late night vibes. We're decoding the links between sex, culture, and promoting the well being of the Black community. So, welcome to everybody.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Tyrell, it's been an interesting time. Well, first off, this is our first episode, so congratulations to us for, being
Yeah,
here, being present, being happy to be Black.
absolutely, absolutely. And isn't it beautiful to be Black, though?
It's a beautiful thing
It
to be in this
is.
skin, to be in this culture, to be in this grace that is nothing but endless beauty. Ugh. Wake up every morning and just be like, the skin looks good in the sun.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? I'm so glad that we have, our Melanin Moonlight, platform. And so just because this is our first episode, we just want to give a shout out to everybody who is going to be tuning in to, listen to us. Always much deeply, deeply appreciations for you. And we just want to give a little bit of context really before we even dive into anything about what our platform is, what it's meant to do. And so what me and Vernon really wanted to do was come to, create a late night space for just very intimate and thought-provoking conversation where we explore all intersections between sex, culture, and the wellness really of the Black community. So we're hoping, for all of our posts that we're able to educate, empower, celebrate, all of the aspects of our Black identities, unpacking nuances as we know that we are not a monolith. And as we talk about representation, relationships, mental health, we are so glad that for those of you tuning in, that you are on the ride with us.
And with all this, like the plan is to grow, of course, but in that growth, just thinking about some of the things that we have planned, like especially being able to provide a live atmosphere for those who become fans who want to join in and just want to be there during these recordings, because who knows what's going to be edited out or what's going to be able to stay. You get to see that full in effect as it happens. But we're starting off small, but who
Yes.
knows where this is going to be in a couple of months. So grow with us, join, post comments about the podcast, tell your friends whenever you hear about it,
Yes.
help us help you.
Yes. And it's kind of like, if we shoot to stardom and, we actually on an actual talk show, that's all well and good too. Y'all can help us promote. Y'all can help us get to that level.
Listen, and I give talk show energy until it's like talk show energy, but we know this motherfucker can get fired.
Yes. And look, and and you know what? I'm not too proud to say we cute, y'all. So, like even if we had to get somewhere just based off our looks, right? We can do that.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. The hair may not be retwisted, which is my business, so mind yours, but I still look good.
Yeah, and I may have a little bit of scruff right now, but you know what? Some hands rubbing through it, it's all good.
Listen, listen, we're catches, okay? Look, I could be your prize or your gift. It just depends. Both of those are accurate, okay?
Absolutely.
So Tyrell, what's some of the things that came up for you this week, or something that you just found interesting as it relates to pop culture or just whatever's trending?
Oh, I did notice something. So, for anybody who is like reality TV fans or anything like that, you'll come to know I love my love-based like little reality shows like Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, all of those like good things. And something that came out this week that I'm really surprised about was that if for anybody who is fans of the Lifetime show Married at First Sight, I've been a fan since day one, all the way back to season one. We're in season like 18, I think now.
Good God.
And, for all of the ratchetness that, or should I say, low key ratchetness that only Lifetime can do. Surprisingly, after 18 seasons, I think the first 3 seasons came on another network, but like seasons 3 or 4 through season 18 currently have been on Lifetime. So Married at First Sight has had a home on Lifetime for quite some time. And
Mhm.
it just came out that they are actually moving to Peacock. And so I thought that was a very interesting move. They've signed like a multi-year dollar deal, with
Mhm.
Peacock. I'm thinking that it's at least for 3 more years. So that was a little bit of news just I thought was interesting. But more than that, this season on the show has brought up some things that fans have been talking about with seasons, and I'm noticing a trend not just with the show Married at First Sight, but like other shows like Love is Blind and other reality
Mhm.
television shows that seem to very much profit off of Black women's pain. And
Mm.
if you become a fan of the show, we love us some Black women. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I felt like when fans were bringing that up, that had some merit to it, because only in certain of these shows will you see Black women be in pairings where they're not, the focus can never really be on the relationship because of having to deal with so much ratchetness and I'm just going to say downright trifling mess that's going on. So
Ooh,
what I
details.
so yeah, what I feel in the way that some other couples have to navigate, these arguments, of course, these things that, of course, when you're in a relationship, yeah, you go through or whatever. But it seems that these networks, I don't know, something is happening behind the scenes. They say it's, sometimes it could be the producer, sometimes it could just be the
Mhm.
segment and the story, but something's going on behind the scenes about why our Black women are getting stuck with these trifling ass stories.
See, now I don't really watch Love at First Sight, but what came up to me is that because they know the selection pool that they're choosing from. They interviewed these people, they talked to these people, and it sounds as though that what you're saying is that they're matching a lot of Black women with emotionally immature people,
Mhm.
and as a result, that's either be drama farming or just giving, oh, we have a black face here, just deal with it, and just perpetuating this idea that, oh, black women cannot find love, or um, because my next thought, because I need to catch up on Love is Blind, but I remember that season where it was the mixed race couple,
Mhm.
where they did play a lot on the racial aspect and the racial differences. I did appreciate that because those dynamics do come up,
Yeah.
but it's kind of reminds me of the image that's also portrayed outside of that, but in other media, that a black relationship does not operate in a healthy way until there's somebody that's of a different race, more than likely someone that's white.
Yes, and you're so right. And I feel that what happens with us in reality, I think TV spaces, is that we end up having, because I think that there's a aspect of everybody is showing like a face for television, because of
Mm,
course you don't want a narrative about you that's like showcased to the world that's like in a negative light. Like even for people who may be coming on certain shows for like clout or whatever to promote their own personal interests. I don't think necessary. I'm not going to say anyone, but I don't think most people go on to a TV series like knowing that they're going to be airing their business,
mm,
and doing all of these things. And yes, even though you're following a narrative, and it's almost like obviously watching a TV show where like you have archetypes of types of characters. I think it works the same way where you have archetypes of people.
mm.
There's going to be like your couple who's like very sweet and but they may be like boring to watch, but it's like, okay, those are the ones that we root for, because it's like, okay, we root for love at the end of the day. Then you're going to have your people who play into a little bit more spiciness, or like a little bit more nuance, and that's where your drama is going to be filled. And then there's always like those one or two couples that typically have like this very toxic element to them.
Mm,
And it's not even necessarily where you see it in both of them individually, but them coming together is like where it's like a complete shit show that happens. And I don't know where, where black people, where it's like we're already stigmatized anyway for a particular image, no matter if that is the aggressive or angry black woman, or if that's the aloof or unemotional man.
mhm,
It's kind of like we're already having to deal with these aspects anyway, and so when it gets put in a reality television format, it's like it's just amplified. And for me, I would love to just watch black people in reality TV spaces that, yes, we let's be honest, we do watch for the drama. Like
yes,
that's a main component
yes.
of reality television. Yes, we watch for the drama, but at the end of the day, as somebody who loves love as well, I also want love to run out at the end of the day. And really, for me, no matter if couples end up together or not, I don't know these people, so I don't have a personal investment. Like I don't have a personal investment in these.
They don't
But
change our lives not one
I do
bit.
want to watch though a good story. So
Hmm.
no matter if couples decide to stay together or go their separate ways, at least you can say, "Oh, I actually did like watching their journey because
Hmm.
I liked how they tried to work through these things. They tried to, they talked about this or they had hard conversations." You can't really do that if your black women are dealing with baby mama drama on the outside. They dealing with secrets and lies that are not even dealing with things that are not even a part of their actual relationship.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's what the space is, I think, for a lot of these reality television shows, specifically when it comes to trying to the picture identity of the black woman, especially.
Hmm.
It's kind of like you can't even see them get in tune with their relationships to even try to learn from it, to try to see what, maybe what they have to work on, and things like that, because it's so ingrained in just mess,
Hmm.
and mess that don't even a lot of times have to do with their relationships, so
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of why I actually like Young, Famous, and African.
yeah.
Because like I had this conversation with a friend of mine because he was like, why is it that you like this show but you don't like Love and Hip Hop? And I'm like, yeah, I used to actually enjoy Love and Hip Hop at one point because it was, yeah, it had its drama, but it wasn't that we had to be sold a storyline or we had to experience somebody going all out of the way in order to manufacture some kind of drama just so that they can have relevance on the show, right? And whenever I watch Young, Famous, and African, especially because it's like, all black minus Kaylee, but we love Kaylee, she's cool. Um, but like whenever they actually talk to each other, you get the drama, right? But
Mhm.
you outside of the drama, you actually have healthy dialogue that's going on. We're talking about our feelings. We're talking about different perspectives. We're talking about where certain things may stem from. And my main bitch, Connie, oh, that's my girl. Like, when I originally started watching the show, I was not a fan, and it took all the way up until around episode 5 until I started to see her in a different light, because she was kind of like the life coach on set, right? She's sitting you down. We're having these conversations where you're getting deep in what the fuck is your problem here? Why is it that you feel the way that you feel? Why are you feeling triggered here? I'm telling you, you need to go see a therapist and all this other stuff, right? And to see that normalized conversation helps me gravitate to that space a little bit more. And you see relationship problems. You see healthy relationships too,
Yes.
right? And when there's like relationship issues that are going on, they are talking about it head on. Well, for the most part. Whenever there's some confusion, yes, you're going to be lost in the confusion as well, but I can honestly say for the vast majority of the seasons, I walk away with some understanding or some type of resolution. Except for season three. Season three left on some drama, but it also concluded a lot of important aspects of the show too, which
Yeah.
on other things is really about that drama that's being left over, and I think that's something that is needed within the reality TV space, especially when it comes to Black relationship dynamics, showing that we too can have these healthy conversations. We too can have this baby mama drama going over there and still foster a healthy relationship with our current partners while we're trying to manage that other relationship and see, or just having a co-parenting situation if that happens to
Yeah.
be something that's going on. And we don't have to have couples on the show that have kids or kid drama.
Yes, and that's the main thing. I think that, and for obviously anybody that's listening to us, you'll come to know that Vernon and I have very deep seated viewpoints and beliefs because we're both writers in very different, kind of aspects. And I think one of the things that we overlap for when it comes to what we're passionate about is like representation, and that's what our
Mhm,
platform is. It's about talking about representation, and like you just said, it's kind of like if you already have a gold mine of a formula with the shows that are created. Like, it's like, so you don't need to necessarily manufacture drama. If you have people who are of like elite status or standing, have money, or, you're getting together couples, like trying to
mhm,
navigate issues, you're innately going to have drama. Those things breed drama. So it's like we don't need to manufacture these like we don't need to manufacture like these stories just to like sell
mhm,
a good show, because I think at the end of the day, and of course I cannot speak for anybody else, but I can only speak for myself as a fan. It's like at the end of the day, what I want to see, yeah, of course I want to see me a little bit of drama, of course, like who doesn't, but I ultimately want to see people working through their
mhm,
traumas. I want to see people addressing and having conversations that have not, been had. And honestly, despite the messiness and the drama, one of the things that I will say is a great aspect about watching reality television is that there is always something that's hit on that you can always take away for either
mhm,
something to do or not to do, or to bring up, in conversation in some kind of way. There's always a
mhm,
conversation to be had about, oh yeah, so and so, can you believe what they did? Like I would never want to do something like that. Or, oh yeah, I liked how so and so did this. So there's always a conversation, to be had. And just as a shameless, plug, anybody, who gets to know me also knows that I'm also a big soap opera watcher. So I am thoroughly excited as the promos have been showing across TV and networks. There is a new Black-centered soap opera that is coming at the end of the month. It is called Beyond the Gates, and it's going to be the first Black daytime soap opera in about 30 years. And it's I'm really having high hopes for it, just because it is being done by Michelle Valjean, who is a former soap opera star, Black woman. The executive producers, the costume set designers, everybody, they're keeping it, kind of keeping it Black centered. And I'm just really excited, to see a daytime soap opera, kind of, told from our point of view and our light, because Black audience, we make up a good majority of soap opera watchers. Everybody tends to think that the soap opera is a dying breed, but we also have to remember the only reason why we have reality television shows are because of soap operas. you know so if you're really wanting to get into something new, something fresh that hopefully lives up to its hype and that really does well, check out Beyond the Gates. It's being backed by the NAACP, has all the right ingredients, so we can just hope that it lives up to its hype.
Listen, and I do remember it was on CBS, but I forgot exactly.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus, there we go. I had
Mhm.
to look it up again. So definitely it's coming out on February 24th.
Mhm.
So go ahead and, get your things ready, get your tea, get your wine, whatever you need for your soap opera. Let's go ahead and
Yes,
enjoy
sir.
this.
Yes, sir.
I
And
can't
and
wait.
again, it just gets to your point. Like one of the things that I love about when I've been hearing interviews about the show is that, they've been saying like all the stories that you tell for like predominantly white audiences. Yes, we're going to be telling those stories in more nuance to show that, we are loyal and faithful when it comes to family. We are messy and rich when it comes to to
Mm,
from the family. Like there, and that's at the end of the day. I've always said that as a writer, myself, um, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether or not I like a character or not. That's just personal bias. That's just personal choice. What I want to watch at the end of the day, no matter what platform it is, I just want to watch good story.
mhm.
If I'm watching good story, it doesn't really matter about who's my favorite or who I can't stand or whatever. I love me a good villain. I love me a good bad boy bag. Whatever. I think that
Delay.
yeah, hello. So, but at the end of the day, what I want is to be told good story. And no
Mm,
matter if that's in a soap opera realm, if that's in a reality TV realm, if we're watching couples or whatever, at the end of the day, again, this is fictional, or even if it is real, such as reality based, I don't know these people. So it's like I don't have no personal investment about whether or not people stay together or not. However, what I would like to see is I like to see good story told.
mhm. And to even go on that, like, I think that the one of the things that we've been lacking as a culture, or just like American US culture, is we've been lacking one, good storytelling, but character development. Like, yeah, it's fun to have those mindless television shows. It's fun to see this, laugh, chuckle, just acknowledge that you're not in those circumstances with those people. So sometimes you can look down at them, or you can just think that you're better than behaving this certain way, even though we do it ourselves. But like, you can have all of those thoughts, but if we're not engaging in enough content that helps us grow, that helps us see that this villain that you hated so much has their own backstory, or even when that villain then becomes somebody that you can relate to, then you're not doing your job. Like, I
Yeah,
love it when the favorite character that I had at one point, I'm just questioning, okay, hold up, fam. Like, when I think about my experience watching Insecure when it was coming on the air, I know a lot of people just loved Issa just because Issa was the main character, and
mhm,
because that main character syndrome, they think, oh, Issa could do no wrong, and I'm just like, but are you not? Are you missing all the things that she's
mhm,
fucking up? Like, do you not
mhm.
see what she's doing? Like, sometimes she is the problem. You need to see
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But my favorite character was Molly, and boy, did Molly put me through some things trying to defend her when
Mhm.
she was right, and then when she was wrong,
When
and you
she
could
wrong.
not win. You
But
just
again, that is what makes such a beautiful, good storytelling
Mhm,
because that's what good storytelling is. When you have protagonists or you have antagonists, nobody is perfect. Nobody is meant to be an archetype of a person being perfect because
mhm,
that doesn't exist. So you love watching like your main stars like fuck up, like and have
mhm.
like girl, what we doing?
Exactly. Like, we've talked about this before, and we could talk about it again. That moment when Molly looked at this man and was kind of like ill just because he hooked up with somebody once in the past, that he just slept with a
Exactly.
dude
When
once.
you
I was
just
like,
got through admitting that you had literally done almost the same thing once.
exactly. I was like,
Like,
Molly, you're letting me down here, girl. You're letting me down. But also Kelly was my
but
other fave.
again, true portrayal though. Like
Exactly.
how true that portrayal is. And even so, like I remember one of my favorite stories with Insecure happened in season 4. And I know black women especially came out in droves when the whole, fight and confrontation happened between Issa and Molly. And
Mm,
that whole story, I mean, season 4 was actually my favorite season of the show. And I remember when that happened, again, what it did was is that it sparked great dialogue because the dialogue then became thinking back to these seasons, is Molly the type of friend that she can only really be your friend if she's the one that's in the position of power?
Mm,
So all while Issa is going through, these jobs, she's trying to find herself, Molly is the, high powered attorney and things like that. And so as Issa is coming into her own and is on like her come up, it's like it, really questioning those things. And I love the way that they wrote that story just because they spent the season having these like little grips and snipes at each other that went unaddressed and then, having this blow up. That's really how friendship
mhm,
when you're not in synergy, you're not in sync, and then something happens, that has you to have this blow up, that's real life. That's
mhm,
real life. So no matter if you were team Issa, team Molly, team nobody, it's whatever. That is a quintessential like what happens when you do good storytelling. Where it's like,
mhm,
yeah, I can see Issa's point, I can see Molly's point, both of them wrong in another capacity. Where it's like the main conflicts are so nuanced that it's like it's just messed up.
yeah, and that show in itself just accomplished so much that is needed. Like you said, it drove so many conversations, even just off of relatability alone, and that helped people see that, oh wait, sometimes it is important to go back to have those conversations because even around that time, if I remember correctly, this was when people were so easy to cut people off too.
Mhm.
Like, oh, this person did wrong by me, so snip, snip, cutting that bitch off or whatever. Like, a lot of that was going on around that time too. So to see that, oh, wait, they had a falling out. And now they're actually addressing that. They're having a true conversation, having a heart to heart about it. I felt as though that really helped other people recognize that even a lot of the things that they saw as being serious in their relationships
Yeah,
were just not that big.
exactly.
And even with those two characters, they had to think about the fact that they've been friends for all these years and they're just throwing it away for something small,
Right.
right?
And even with like new shows that have come out now, another shameless plug I'm gonna have. If you do not watch the show Found on NBC, please get into it. Found, starring beautiful black woman Shanola Hampton, Mark Gusler, who played Zach from Saved by the Bell back in the day. Very, very great show. And they tell some amazing stories. So just for anybody that doesn't know, premise of the story is that Shanola Hampton, who plays Gabby, she captures her kidnapper, Sir, who's played by Mark Gusler, after years of being held captive by him after she's, released and everything. And so the premise of the story is that she runs a firm that finds lost people who the media and the police usually would not care anything about. And so she uses Sir to solve her cases. And even though the show has now become more complex and nuanced, one of the things that is so great about the show is that they really get into telling stories that have not been told. We're filming this like February 2025. This past week's episode had me in tears, telling a story of a black biological father, a foster father, and an adoptive father trying to well, nuances of the story, but in the end, everybody trying to work together to find a preteen black boy who is neurotypical, to find him out of a situation that he finds himself in. And just the beauty of telling just beautiful black fatherhood, beautiful black men, and so through the episodes like that and other episodes that they've had, that tell different stories, people LGBTQ, people of color, people who do not get the limelight and attention that if you were to post a little white girl on the news, people who just, they don't matter to the world, and this show, highlights it. And definitely another nuance to the show is just the back and cat and mouse game that Gabby and Sir have, that is not based on a connection that you may not that you would think. Her being kidnapped by him is actually very much a intellectual cat and mouse game that they have. Sir really sees Gabby as his intellectual equal, and that is the twisted aspect of their relationship, which thrives the drama of the show. Because no, I because to me, it's kind of like I was talking about this with a friend one time. It's like, okay, if Sir were any other type of kidnapper or predator, like there would be like no impetus to like watch the show. Like that mirrors too close to real life
Hmm.
that people kind of disassociate from. And Found does a little bit of a different twist where the connection of the kidnapper and captive, who is now this very strong woman, is because of this intellectual connection. So definitely, if you have never seen Found, definitely watch it on NBC. But again, just going back to finding shows, obviously outside of reality television, that do showcase nuance. Like you say, it's good to have our messy or our ratchetness, but you also need to find other things. But that also reminds me of, as we talk about platforms like Netflix and stuff like that, as I think about other platforms like the Zeus Network, or things like that, like I was actually kind of excited way back when, and I haven't kept up with it. I don't know if you have, but I was a fan of like the Bad Girls Club, like on Oxygen, like back in the day. I used to watch the Bad Girls.
Look, you
Um,
can have that one.
Yeah, I used to watch the Bad Girls. And so here's the thing. When they said that they wanted to not necessarily revive it, but some of the older cast, like when they said that they wanted to come back, and there were these talks about how like the show was supposed to be different. Like, it's about now these women have grown up, they have their own businesses and things like
Mhm.
that coming together like in one house again. Again, you have the makings for a good show that doesn't need manufactured drama. And now you just got these women on television at the age that they are in their 30s and 40s, like being ratchet as ever, like they were back, during their early 20s. I'm sorry. And I really love a reactor that I follow on YouTube, like she's saying, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'll tune in for something about the drama, but it's like
Mhm.
me being the age that I am now, I do not want to turn on a TV or turn on a show and just see grown ass women fighting
Not at
or
all.
grown men fighting. Like, what are we doing?
And I think that's the reason why I don't like love and hip hop as much as I used to. And
Mm,
I withdrew myself from that in like like before 2015 actually. I think it was the second season that they had Scrappy and his mom on there.
mm,
I just moved away from it because I'm like, this is not making sense. Like you all are acting like people that I'm in college with. And of course, being familiar with people in my own personal life who are older than me and they're acting similar to the people on these shows, and I'm thinking, where's the maturity here? Like, what are we? Why is it that I have a lot more emotion regulation than you do,
mm,
and you're in your 40s and your 50s and your later 30s and all that? Like, this is not okay. Like,
yeah,
we have to be willing to grow with our age and rather than being stuck in this is what made me popular. This is what leave that alone. Let it
yeah.
go. Just grow. Okay.
Yes. And no, and that's the thing, like, you have to really sit there and think about like the choices that you make. Like off of another show, like I watched the MTV reality show The Challenge, and one of the contestants made a comment this week out of this like first episode. She's like, "Yeah, I am known on The Challenge because I won like a best like fight reality fight award like back in the day." And she's like, I'm hoping, I've buried it somewhere, hoping like my daughter never sees it, because it's kind of like, you do things while you're young. And especially now, because we live
Hmm.
in such a digital age now, it's like, you don't think about the repercussions of the fact you are a full grown ass person acting like a complete fool on television. And you know that these things are going to are going to stay on the internet forever.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, I always go back to that saying. I've always believed that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I know we all need our paper. I know we all need a check. But like, what are you actually willing to sacrifice and do? If it is, because I've never been on a television show before. So I can only imagine that sometimes you obviously, yes, it's producers, like editing, certain things may, not be right and stuff like that. But at some point, it's like, come on now, you got to take some accountability for how you portray yourself.
But the reason why they became the stars that they are is because
Yeah,
the accountability wasn't necessary. And
yeah,
now you have to have that conversation of whether or not it's you really want to move past that. It's really a test of integrity for a person if they have
yeah,
to sit down with themselves to see, is the money that worth it? Is the money something that I'm willing to put myself and my family at risk for, to embarrass them even more by
exactly,
showing myself as being something that I know myself I'm not,
exactly,
or highlighting that I have not grown in my
exactly.
adult ass age.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like to me, I feel like the most successful reality TV stars that I've seen over the years, or at least that I've come up with, are the ones that have left obviously like the fighting behind, or never really was
Hmm.
into the fighting. Like they may have been known to be like a manipulative character, like a manipulative somebody, or there's people like who have like very large egos where they think that they the shit and then some. And
New
sometimes they
York.
prove it, and sometimes they prove it. But to me, that's more like, okay, you either follow somebody's personality or you don't.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean like they're actually on TV acting like a fool every time you see them.
Hmm.
Anytime you see this person, you'll be like, oh Lord, they're gonna be up to some bullshit. But it's not like, it makes it so cringe where it's like you want to turn it off.
This is why I'm a stand for New York. Every time I don't watch the things that she do, but every time I see her on something, I'm just
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
you are a queen of what you do, because this
Yeah.
is genuine, this is you, and you are going to
Yeah.
deliver who you are every single time. And I
Exactly.
love to see that. Like New York, I'm not going to. Yeah, she's up there in her age, not like old old. She's like in early 50s, I think, or late
Mhm.
40s. Still look gorgeous
Yeah.
and whatnot, but she's just going to give you her and
Mhm.
nothing more, nothing less. She's not going to sugarcoat it. If you're bringing her with mess, she's going to bring you with extra, okay? And
Absolutely.
deliver it. Like,
Exactly. And yeah, and I love the fact that I'm loving seeing like black, especially black stars like cross over into other shows. Like I'm not a, love and hip hop fan or a Real Housewives fan. And
mhm,
I know like a Phaedra Parks. Like I never did watch, like the Real Housewives or anything like that. But I love watching Phaedra on the show The Traitors. Like Phaedra had it together. She got everybody together. And
I
it was
heard she's
great.
on that.
And I can only imagine it was good to see for people who are fans of her. Like
Hmm.
if you watch the show The Traders, it was good to see her in like a new kind of light. Where it's like, you have to sit there and, pretend like, you're not a traitor if you are, and have to defend yourself and, just all this type of stuff. So it makes it so when you move into different reality realms, it gets to people to get into different nuances of like your
Hmm.
personality and stuff like that. So I'm love when I can see, especially those people of black and brown color, like to move into like those more nuanced spaces where you get to see them in different lights.
And it also reminds me of the damage of production as well.
Mhm.
How, based off of how certain shows produce, it's the message that they're sending out there. So
Yeah.
it's like how much of these snippets that we get to see on the show as they are editing it and building the story, how much of that is the cuts that they made
Mhm.
versus the real person themselves? How many things happen outside of what y'all are presenting us that show this person as being a lot more well-mannered, more regulated versus them always on the go, ready to
Yeah,
fight, ready to start mess. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. But yeah, who knows where we're gonna head to with, reality television and things like that. But, you know, like I say, I love talking about things like this because I love to talk about seeing like the evolution of
Hmm.
things. I love to talk about seeing people in different lights, like when shows come in and out, when shows move different platforms, what does that do, for, representation and things like that. So just have to wait and continue to see.
And before we even get up out of here, I did want to bring up the TikTok University,
Yeah.
Hillmantok, my my new space, my fave. I am auditioning. I am applying to become a Hillman instructor. I'll be teaching Consent 101 coming soon. But what have you heard? Have you experienced it? Do you even still have TikTok? Do you have TikTok?
No, I don't actually have TikTok, but I
Oh,
did hear it. But I did hear about it though. So
child.
just for context, for any of our fans who don't know, tell them what Hillman Talk is.
Okay, so Hillman Talk is so one random day, a lot of
Look, that's
people.
how all good stories start out. One ring.
It was shortly after the TikTok ban. If I don't know what happened. It was just like I think it was 2 days after we got it back in the scheme that it was. We got TikTok back. Um, but all I know, I opened up my TikTok and boom, there's Dr. Barlow. I was like, hold up, what is this? Dr. Barlow is letting us know that we are all enrolled in Intro to African American Studies. We got homework due, and that's when I was like, girl, wait a second. How did I get enrolled into a whole ass class that I didn't know about? Why is it that I have homework that's due in a couple of days? Three, where are my books? Who registered me to this? What is going on? So, a lot of people, after engaging in that and just recognizing that we're in this class now, interacted with Dr. Barlow's content, and it just skyrocketed from there. And from that, it really built a culture of people just like, well, since we're here, TikTok is still available, and we know that there's misinformation going around. We know that there's attacks on Black history. We know that education is on the road of being defunded even more or completely gutted out of the system. This is a time to really start to educate more people. So, a lot of creators or people who were new to TikTok or people who just had their own blank profiles and were professors themselves, saw that video of Dr. Barlow and was like, let me take part of this as well. And it just grew from there. So, Hillman Talk, Hillman in itself coming from a different world. If you don't know about it, go find out. I think it's on streaming services still. I know it's on HBO Max. The last time I saw it was on HBO Max. It may be somewhere else these days. But Hillman Top comes from Hillman College or Hillman University from a different world. So that just highlights that it's already HBCU online, for those who did not know. Um, but yeah, you have a lot more professors stepping in there, providing knowledge on whatever their topic is. I was enrolled in a screenwriting course, so I'm definitely engaging in that. There's people on there talking about metaphysics. There are instructors talking about gardening, uh, all kinds of things. And of course, if I get accepted, I will be doing Consent 101. Well, I'm doing asynchronous anyways, but for next term, we'll figure out what that's going to look like. But yeah, that is TikTok University, hashtag Hillman Talk, a great space to be.
Wonderful, wonderful,
Like
wonderful.
just just to see the interaction of different people as they engaged in that content and
Yeah,
just learned or just how it's bringing a lot more people together. And like there was even a moment where people were talking about, oh, this started with blackness, we need to gatekeep it. And that's where those who are true to education stepped in. It was like, well, first and foremost, let's talk about HBCUs. HBCUs
Yeah,
has always been institutions that welcomed everybody, not just black. Is it predominantly black? Yes, but there was it's always space for any person of any race to attend the institution. So that part in itself, we're going to stand by that. And then this is education. Education is something that we all should have. So we're not in this space to gatekeep. We're in this space to educate. If you don't like that, you're in this for the wrong reasons.
right.
So even seeing that come out of this too was just beautiful.
Absolutely. And I think that what's important for spaces like this is that, we teach, we've always been at the helm of teaching the world about humanity in itself.
Mm,
And so as you say, like, it not like not being gatekeepers, but being a welcoming space, but an educating type of space. So it's to say no matter what race, creed, ethnicity, whatever that you are, that you can come, you can learn,
mhm.
and hopefully inspired to do better. And especially with the world we're living in today, like we all need to do better.
Okay.
Do better by yourself first and foremost. Like like I'm just gonna tell everybody, get some standards about yourself.
Mm.
To have some respect and decorum about yourself.
Ooh, the personal attacks about people. It's not me, but
Have some respect and decorum about yourself, and then learn how to respect others.
yes.
And if you don't know something, you can just ask. There's no harm in asking that.
Ooh, and that's the thing. Like I know for myself, I'm so ready and willing to say I don't know. Because
Exactly.
I am
There's
not
no
going to
harm in
act
saying
as though I have all the answers for all the problems because I know I do not. But when I do have the answer, I have the answer. But I think we need to become comfortable again of not knowing. We need to be comfortable with ignorance, because I
exactly.
know that a lot of people, when they hear that, they think that of that as an insult, and it's not. It's just mean. Words mean things, people. Remember
Yeah,
that. If someone is communicating that you're ignorant on a subject, that just means you lack the knowledge on that specific subject, and that's okay. And what they're here to do is try to educate you or provide the resources needed to educate you on what you don't know. And the
right.
other thing for any person who may feel ostracized or feel as though that they are on the outskirts of education, something that is important to know is one, the vast majority of this country reads on a seventh grade level. And at the same time, reading is not something that everybody knows how to do. That seventh grade level is for those who know how to read, not those in all. And we do have a large population of people who cannot even read a menu. That's why most menus have pictures on it. It's to help people identify what they want. And it's okay if you don't know how to read, right? Communicate that to somebody who's willing to teach, communicate that in somebody with somebody who may help point you in a direction that can teach you that. It's a
Exactly.
skill, right? And we're not all born with it. So
No,
open
absolutely.
yourself up to learn, open yourself up to be educated, open yourself up to gain the needed wisdom so that you can comprehend new situations.
Exactly. Because I think that what happens when you, except for obviously our individuals who have different abilities, when
Mm,
you purposely choose to be blind, deaf, and dumb, you know, it, there's no, I can't talk to you.
I cannot.
I can't deal with you because it's like when you purposely choose to remain ignorant to a situation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like you are making a purposeful choice not to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And doing better does not mean expecting perfection. Again, we say that there is no such thing as perfection. We are not going to say the right things all the time. We cannot avoid conflict in all situations. However, what we can do is listen with empathy and, compassion, listen for understanding. You know, I always tend to say you don't need to agree with people. People aren't telling you things for you to agree with them. However, have open ears, have an open heart, and just try to understand the perspective that someone is coming from. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to subscribe to it, you need to agree with it, but at least try to understand and try to do better.
Yeah, and something I piggyback on that with is knowing the difference between whether or not your opinion is based on a fact or opinion of someone else,
Yes.
right? Because when your opinion is based on the fact, you recognize that as being the fact,
Hmm.
right? If you recognize an opinion as a fact, you're already doing it wrong.
Right.
Like you're three steps off at this point.
Right.
But
And yeah.
mhm.
And just to speak to your field being in therapy, something that I've been loving seeing across social media of all my, especially my Black therapists. I am loving that therapists are teaching people in their in their sessions. Also, feelings are not always fact.
Ooh, mm.
Just because you feel something, that does not make does not make it true.
And thanks for bringing that up. I think this will be a perfect time just to illustrate that for some people, because this is the example I use with my clients
Mhm.
to help them see that, yes, your feelings are valid because they're valid to you, but they're not always rooted in reality. And the
Yeah,
example
exactly.
I use is a puppy. And imagine being a person who has a fear of dogs, right?
Mhm.
If you bring a puppy in the room, objectively speaking, a puppy is can't do anything to you. It can nom on you and all that. The bites don't hurt. You can literally just slap a little puppy and it's just gonna, run somewhere. Don't abuse puppies, y'all. Please don't do that. But with the little puppy, it's just in the room. But that person who's has a strong fear towards dogs, their anxiety is through the roof, right?
Mhm.
And that's because that's the emotion telling them that they're in danger. Is that valid to them? Yes. But in reality, the thing that they're afraid of can do them absolutely no harm.
Mhm.
And that is how our feelings can be valid for us, but not rooted in reality or not be a fact.
Mhm.
So if you ever feel yourself feeling something and someone is giving you a logical argument, understand the logic. Your logical brain and your emotional brain are not operating in the same spaces.
Exactly.
They do contradict each other all the time.
Exactly. So yeah. So and like you say, just being willing to be open to listen to another perspective, even when it comes to yourself. You know, and I've always tend to say like, don't ask a question that you really don't want to answer to.
Okay.
Because it's like when you get told about yourself, you got to be willing to face some very harsh truths. And if you're not willing to face that, then don't ask the question. And the
Yeah.
harsh truths don't mean that, again, feelings are not facts. Saying a harsh truth to you does not mean that, oh my God, I'm just a bad person and things like that. Nobody is saying that you're a bad person.
Hmm.
It's just for what it is that you are asking about, or that you're asking for some type of truth about. It may unveil something that you may not be prepared to hear, or be
Hmm.
prepared to deal with.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you cannot unring a bell.
You gotta be and make sure that you're going to the friends that give you the honest truth, not the ones that say stuff to make you feel
Exactly.
good, because those are two different things.
No.
It kind of makes me want to bring up the concept of a broken clock, but that can come to another day, especially when Dr. Umar does something foolish, because he's going to do something probably this week, and we can talk about that next week. And
Yeah.
that is a broken clock that I cannot wait to rant about, but we'll get to
Yeah.
that soon. Well, Tara, do you have anything else that you would like to share?
Oh no, this has been a wonderful first episode out the gate.
I agree, and it dawned on me we didn't even talk about our background, so I guess we could do
Yes,
that
we can wrap
briefly.
up. Yeah, right. Yeah, we can. I was actually just thinking that it's
It's
like, yeah, we
like
can actually wrap up to
we let them know who we are, but we didn't say nothing about what we actually do.
that. It's all right, y'all. This is what makes our platform different. We do things a little backwards sometimes. Like y'all just
Okay.
y'all bear with us.
Look, and you listen this far, you didn't care about that.
Exactly.
Now you get
Look,
it.
something kept you here. No matter if you just found us, we're not saying we coerce people into listening to us, but that may come from a time or two, especially, for those good reviews we know that y'all gonna leave.
Oh, okay, 5 stars. Well, I guess I will start us off. So, as I mentioned earlier on in the show, my name is Vernon Scott. There is technically a doctorate there. I tell people it's implied. You don't have to call me that now, unless you're disrespectful. Then I make you do it. Outside of that, so I'm an educator. I teach in a GED program, love it there. I'm also a therapist. I'm specializing in sex and relationships. I have a podcast outside of this one, which is called the Holistically Podcast, where we talk about sex. Okay, you can follow that if you want to. What else do? I do so much shit. Oh my God.
If
I
you just
use
got started.
profanity a lot. If you have not noticed by now. And yeah, I'm a huge advocate for consent in our trans brothers, sisters, and non-binary people. So, if you ever feel as though you need somebody stand in the gap and provide some education for a motherfucker, feel free to tap on my shoulder. I got you. Um, and what else? I think that's about it. Slayer's Playhouse is slowly coming back. Uh, when the finances get right, it will be right there for you. Oh, and I also wrote a book. Forgot about that. Okay, I think that's everything. Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Look, and we have slashes and slash because we do so much. It just depends
Hmm.
on what day. It just depends on the day and the hour. Am I a given person?
Right, right.
So yeah, so for everybody again, hello, I am Tyrell Collins. Basically my background is in English. I'm an English scholar, currently getting my PhD in rhetoric and composition. So that's my research degree. You can almost call me doctor, not just yet, haven't earned that title. I'm probably not. I'm more than not. Am not gonna require or say anything about anybody calling me doctor out, like in this space or anything like that. But if you do, it's very much appreciated because I didn't work damn hard for this degree. So like
Hmm.
if you want to call me doctor, you can, but it's not a requirement. So but yeah, I'm a writer, I'm an educator, I teach in English and writing studies. I very much enjoy talking about black SGL culture, uplifting our queer community. um and also I'm a part of great organizations that center on fellowship and brotherhood and those kind of things. I do have some work that I am going to be working on as far as my writing, in time. As far as my creative writing goes, I have a fiction degree, I write poetry, and just all those good things. I'm always an avid reader, so I'm always delving into something. I love addressing, just culture and topics from an educational sort of standpoint, fun sort of standpoint. That's why I love working, obviously love talking with Vernon. We both share that in common. So yeah, I think that's pretty much me.
Perfect. All right, y'all peoples. As Tara said earlier, thank y'all so much for listening. We need to go ahead and get up off of this thing, get some rest because we both have a week coming up because we are educators and students are waiting on us. With that said, y'all have a beautiful night, and see you next time.
See you next time.